Yeah,
into the chocolate, and we're going to layer it with strawberries.
Tell you what, looks delicious.
So, you used to work in the chemistry field. What did you do?
EPA, the EPA clean air, clean water. We did testing for pollutants.
What was your last role?
I spent 22 years being one of the primary stakeholders in a laboratory called Environmental Science Corporation in Mount Juliet. We were testing lab. I was the technical director, I guess was one of my titles, primary titles. The technical director kind of oversaw a lot of different aspects of the business, but IT being one of them, the computerization. I got to see the internet you did too. The internet get created in the 90s.
Yep.
And we deployed those technologies for that industry.
So this is actually a Middle Eastern recipe.
Middle Eastern. Now, what did you say that was right there?
It's called katifi, and it's got pistachio butter in it and regular butter.
Wow. Where do you get that?
Tahini.
Where do you get that?
I actually ordered it on Amazon, and then I cooked. This is leftover from. It's called Dubai chocolate. Have you heard of that? It's a big craze. Everybody wants Dubai chocolate.
Right.
Yeah, after I get this done, we'll take a walk. I'll show you the pantry.
Okay.
I've really redone the whole house in order to do this here.
All right.
And this is the good stuff. So we have our brownie mix, and then we have white sugar and brown sugar, and then we have a regular baking oil, and we have olive oil, and that has been so fun to play with the olive oil and do different things.
Yeah.
And then we have our simple syrup, which is made with the water-soluble nano powder that we make in-house, and then we have the butter, and we have chocolate syrup, caramel syrup, white chocolate syrup, honey, and peanut butter.
Man, you've infused all kinds of stuff.
You have a lot of different options here to get what you want, and the really nice thing is the books, The Elevated Table and The Bartender's Guide both talk to you about finding the right dose.
Yeah.
Because that's, nothing like having a really bad experience and getting way, way, way more than you meant.
Yeah.
This is one of my favorites. This is like Dunkin' Hines for stoners.
Yeah.
And it's a brownie mix that you just add eggs and oil to.
So it's already got the Delta 9 in it.
Yeah.
Right. And now I assume you've got COAs that show what concentrations.
Yes, and everyone has a QR code.
A QR code that wants you to test it so frequently by batch and stuff like that. It's almost impossible to do it economically.
Yeah, and they demand all of these things
that
should have been done before it ever left the farm, like the pesticide tests and things like that.
Yeah,
that does need to be done.
Yeah, but at the raw material stage.
Right, not every step.
Not at the end product stage.
What do you think currently is the most accurate form of testing?
Technique?
Yes.
With THC and the cannabis, you're going to do HPLC. HPLC analysis is the tried and true method. I mean, there's no other shortcomes. It has to be done by HPLC, high pressure liquid chromatography. High pressure liquid chromatography basically does the separation.
Right.
Takes the mixture and spreads it out into peaks. The detector can be several things. The most simplest one is a UV vis, what's called ultraviolet light.
Right.
That doesn't give you a whole lot of information other than the concentration, the amplitude, So but it's the tried and true way, and that's the way that they've certified other analysis in HPLC. So there's a lot to the science of it in terms of the analytical technique.
Why do you send it to 5 different labs and get 5 different readings of the exact same distillate or compound.
The techniques and the people who are running the instruments may not be as equally qualified or not doing the exact same techniques to produce the sample. There's a method. A method has to be established and it has to be audited and it has to be approved, and you have to show that you're following this. Most error in the laboratory for testing is in the sample handling and preparation of the sample prior to giving it to the instrument to test it.
That's where the errors occur most.
That's where all the errors.
That's human error.
A liquid is pretty homogeneous. So you take a drop of a liquid after you've shaken it up, maybe you get a representative sample. But you take a solid, that's what the mixture, just the plain mixture of the sample, the homogeneity of it, how well is that compound distributed across that whole matrix, is not even. So somebody may grab a hot piece, particularly flour, where they pull that sample from dictates.
Matters.
It makes a ton of difference. Sampling error. This sample preparation, sample collection, sample preservation, before it even gets to the lab. That's where get 5 different results. It could vary as much as, they're probably 50%, could be 50% off.
What do you think of this? This is my water soluble.
You told me that you're doing water soluble, and that, again, remember, the organic molecule of cannabis is not water soluble. So you've got to do what you learned is called emulsification, which basically takes an organic molecule and surrounds it enough to make it disperse and try to make it more homogeneous, so that in this, it may be considered, if you take one little grain out of here, maybe you've got to, then it comes to your mechanics of how well did you really mix all this stuff and how much did you take in there. And if you're adding just a small amount, the chances of it getting coated to every little particle in there is difficult. It's more, I think a lot of times you start to deal with physics, it's chemistry, trying to make something homogeneous in an emulsified product. So
this being nanoized also has really helped because it hits you much faster.
Yeah.
So where traditional,
I bet.
Yeah.
And to me, I'm curious about, and I don't know enough about this, but the future of all these products. Of course, what you're doing is as a connoisseur. I mean, you're hitting so much of what I see is
niche.
The niche of the art